Hello, and welcome to Video Game Rations, a monthly video game club. I'm one of your hosts, Brian Swain.
Oh, man, I forgot I was supposed to speak next. Eric Reiger over here.
Perfect, Nick.
Yep.
You're still on this podcast.
Textbook
It's
start.
been a while.
I'm Nolan Lorch. Hello.
If you're unfamiliar with us, we're a couple of friends who pick a video game every month and talk about our opinions on the game. For this month, we played Returnal.
Yeah, we did.
Deep space.
Ooh.
Searching, exploring.
Ooh.
Hunting. It's a good one.
Shooting things.
Yeah, shooting things.
Shooting so many things.
So many bugs and critters and robots and who knows what.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, how are you doing on this beautiful Thursday night?
I'm doing very good.
Good.
Very good.
Doing good.
Happy to be hanging with my dudes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Remote
Good group of gentlemen, yeah.
Kraken are in round 2.
I was gonna say I'm surprised we didn't reschedule again because the Kraken are playing.
We can't. There's just going to be no more rescheduling, unfortunately. But
that was a Kraken game 7 that we rescheduled for.
That's true. Which was a doozy.
That's a different beast.
Yeah.
And then by the time we are the end of May, the Kraken, it could be the finals or something like that.
Yeah, and they'll be
maybe. We'll see. Hey, overtime game in Dallas. They won in OT.
Yeah.
Upset the home team. That's big.
That's huge.
That's big. Yeah. Big in the world of hockey.
They are supposedly really good on the road. Not great at home, but
interesting.
That's what I hear at the bar.
Interesting. Well, that's because they've only been at home for a full season. So, I guess 2 full seasons now, but.
Yeah.
So before we talk about Returnal and other video game nonsense we've got, let's get into some quick housekeeping. If you guys could share the podcast, leave us any reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your podcast provider of choice. That really helps us out. You can go to videogamerations.com to find links to our Twitter, our Discord server, which is always a good time. What were we talking about on Discord recently? All the latest and greatest in Redfall and other Microsoft happenings and not happenings. A lot of Tears of the Kingdom hype.
Ooh, it's hyped.
There's always people looking for games and stuff like that. So the Discord's a good place to come hang out with the community, a community of fellow gamers, fellow nerds. And then you can also find a link to our Gmail where you can email us any questions, comments, concerns about the show. If you're worried about, what's going on with Nolan's recreational hockey team, you can email him there. He'll let you. He'll give you updates. I only say that because your hat. So that's the next thing I latched onto.
I would like to read a nice long email. Send one through.
Yeah, send one through and we'll read it on the show for sure. What else? Yeah, that's it. Videogamerations.com. That's the place to go for all that fun jazz. Guys, what have you been playing this month? What kind of games? What have you been getting into? What have you been dipping your toes? I mean, no, but your fingers, your thumbs, it's your digits.
Thumbsticks?
Yeah. Eric.
No, you can go because I
just assigned it to Eric.
No, because
I'll go.
We can talk about mine last. Just
yours is gonna be a beefy boy. Mine's kind of a rerun of last month, but I finished God of War.
Are you stuck in a time loop?
Very nice.
I don't think I'm stuck in a time loop. Maybe I am. There is some sort of time loop business going on there. But yeah.
In God of War?
Yeah. It's more of like a fate thing.
That was a play. That was a play on Returnal, Nolan, because you.
I got that.
Talking about it last month and this month.
Yeah. Okay. No, I know, I got it, but it also works in God of War.
Okay.
So I was destined to talk about God of War tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed some sort of time travel stuff in that game.
No. There's just like a thing at the end that, kind of explains the game basically.
Yeah, I like that. Like the whole is it like the whole painting thing you walk past or whatever?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good. It was a very surprising ending. I liked it.
I liked it too.
Mhm.
I thought the ending was good. I thought the final boss fight was not good.
Ooh.
I did not like fighting.
That dude over and over again.
Yeah, what is his name?
He has a mullet, right?
Baldur.
Oh, there.
He was like a cool character, but after like the third time of beating him up, I was like, "Ugh, like this fight is not fun to me."
Was that the stranger from the beginning? Was the same?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember.
Yes. That fight at the beginning is really cool.
Mhm.
And then you fight him like 3 more times.
Yeah.
And
just keeps showing
his
up.
his character
Oh,
is
yeah,
cool. Like it, and like how he fits into the story. But the fight, you like fight him on the back of a dragon, which sounds awesome, but it's like he's just pummeling you, and then it gives you like a big button prompt pops up on your screen to push left or right trigger, and you just kind of like casually dodge big blows, and that's the whole fight, and it sucks. It sucks.
Okay.
But everything else in that game rules. Like that was my only complaint, was those fights were really bad and everything else was really awesome. So yeah, that's all.
Nice.
I don't want to go into too much more because we talked a bunch about it last time, but
yeah,
that game's awesome.
that's okay.
All the side stuff was cool, and all the Norse mythology stuff was really cool too.
Oh, it's such a good way of doing basically audio logs.
Yeah, just like
Like
cruising around in your boat telling stories.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was good, especially when you get the head character
Mm-hmm.
who kind of tells them all from like his perspective of kind of seeing it all happen. It was good.
Yep.
I was trying to think, like Hellblade was like you were looking at little glyphs, weren't you? And they were like whispering stuff to you as you were learning about the lore in that.
Yeah.
That was just like her like psychosis and stuff though, basically, right?
Well, there was like there was Norse mythology like pickups basically in that game too, but it didn't have like, it wasn't as fleshed out as in God of War, like where the characters are explaining it. It just was way more conversational.
Yep.
Like the head is constantly talking shit about the gods, and it was just like it was like sitting around the campfire with your son. Like it was great. I loved it. It was it was actually my favorite part of that game, was like cruising around the islands, fighting, like doing the side mission stuff and gathering all like the little lore bits.
Yeah.
Dude, some of those side baddies were tough baddies.
Yeah, they were tough. They were really tough. I got really far into one of you unlock like 2 gates that are challenge mode islands, basically. They're not part of the story. And one of them is like a challenge mountain, and you got to like fight through waves of enemies. And at the top is a Valkyrie that kicked my ass. Like I only beat one Valkyrie, I think, in the entire game. But by that point, I was pretty much like, I'm done. I just want to finish it up. But it was cool. Like, and then the other gate opens up a like kind of like a roguelite mode that's like randomly changes, and you do like runs through it to get loot and stuff. But
you kept talking about going up the mountain, and I thought you were talking about that for me.
No, like there's like the Mistland area where it's like all smoky, and when you walk into it, it's like toxic clouds and stuff. That's like that's the roguelite area. And then there's kind of there's a fire realm. It's just like a giant volcano.
Oh, I was thinking the roguelike
your
one.
way up it.
the roguelike one where you like only have like a couple shots and you get like resources along the way?
I didn't even do it. I just by the time I got to it, I already had legendary armor, like a full legendary armor set, and I was like, I'm good. I just like I've pretty much seen everything. Like I don't feel like doing like another challenge mode. I'm just gonna finish the story. I basically only had the boss fight left, and then I beat the game. So
Oh man, it's so fun. It's really hard.
yeah, it looked cool. I just was like ready to move on at that point. So I played. I think I got like 86% total completion of that game. So I did a lot of stuff in that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It was
Very
good.
nice.
I'm excited to play the new one when it comes out on PC.
Ooh.
It would be a few.
Yeah, that's okay. I got plenty of stuff to fill my time, you know?
What was the timeline between the first one and the second one? I don't think it was that long. Or sorry, not the first one, the second one. The PC release in the
It's usually isn't it usually like a year
yeah.
a year and a half or something like that?
I
But
think well, it kind of depends on now. It seems like depends if the game is a critical success or not. Like,
I mean,
well, no,
yeah,
actually, never mind because Days Gone.
Days
they
Gone
got a
is huge on PC.
PC. I wonder what goes into decisions on what goes to PC then.
It was about
I mean,
it was about 20 months.
20 months. Judgment, all the Judgment games are on there now too. So, which there was like a big issue with like the main character, the actor, like they didn't want him to be on PC for some reason. I don't really remember, but that's on there. I mean, it seems like they're pushing to put more games on PC.
I can't really
so
think of a recent Sony studio or PlayStation studio game that hasn't come to PC
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
because they did Returnal, which we're going to talk about obviously, was a PS5 game. Sackboy
Mhm.
was a PS5 game.
Did that
Oh
one
yeah, I
come
forgot
out?
about that game.
Yep.
Sackboy's Adventure
Yep.
or whatever it was.
Yep. Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered were like the big ones.
Mhm.
God of War,
Oh yeah, Miles Morales.
Days Gone, Horizon. I don't know. The list is small for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to keep that
I wonder if Gran Turismo
tight.
is going to come to PC.
Oh, that would be sick. That would be so sweet. Um, I do have Horizon as well, so I think I'm gonna play that next.
Ooh, nice.
So
Although,
Dude,
yeah,
want to
Horizon
play
was
the new one so bad.
Horizon was like a kind of a earlier PS4 game. That was like
Yeah.
the first couple of years release. Took a while to get to PC, but
well,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. I want to play it sooner rather than later. That way, if the next
Oh,
one comes out, I'll be ready to go.
you know what we're
Someone was
missing?
saying the DLC for the new one's only like 5 missions, but it's like better than the main game.
I heard that too. Probably on the same podcast you were listening.
Yep, probably the same podcast.
We're missing Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, yeah, was that a-
need that one to come out
Oh,
on
yeah,
PC.
we do.
Oh,
That was a late
Yeah.
PS4 game that has
Right, I
not had a
forgot.
PC release. And I want to play the shit out of that one.
yeah.
Nice.
Well, yeah, good game. Good game.
Good game.
Future, they're
Eric,
future podcast games is what they are.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Basically.
Brian, what are you playing?
So Returnal is not a very chill game. It's a very, very good game. I'm gonna go ahead and say that, but it's not a very chill game. So I needed something with more chill to it. And I downloaded or bought and downloaded the DLC, the latest DLC pack for Forza Horizon 5, which is called Rally Adventure. And not too dissimilar from the Hot Wheels DLC. It adds like a whole nother section of the map and a bunch of new cars and races and modes and stuff like that. So it's rally racing, so a lot of dirt and sliding around and stuff like that.
Nice.
it changes up the racing a bit where you have a co-pilot, quote unquote co-pilot, but they're flying in a helicopter above you because sometimes you're in single seat cars or like single seat buggies. And I guess that's how they kind of got over the fact that you won't have a co-pilot. I don't know if anybody really would have like batted an eye against like, that's a one seater. Where's the co-pilot going to be?
I feel like that's pretty on brand for Horizon though. They always got like planes and
over the
shit
top
flying over.
Yep. So there's kind of like a constant like like a dirt cloud in front of you, like not super close, but like, you know, where the helicopter's spewing up dust. But they're giving out like the racing lines and racing directions. That's pretty traditional to Rally. And you're doing like point to point races, where they kind of it suggests that you turn off the driving line assist so you listen to your co-pilot's directions, where they tell you like the degree or grade of the turns and all that obstacles and stuff like that. Very cool, very fun. It does a good job with the rally mode, some interesting and fun new cars. There's kind of like 3 different sets of races, 3 different teams, what you call, and you progress through the teams. And once you get through a team, you can join another team and do their races. So there's like traditional rally, which is like point to point time-based racing and typical rally dirt cars. Then there's like a rally cross team, which is a mix of like dirt and pavement. And then one is more like a Baja style race where you're like in wide open like areas and racing that way, in larger like buggies and trucks and stuff like that, like kind of like more like those long term like rally races where they just have like latitude and longitude. And then you can do all your races in like single time trial, which is like basically traditional rally, or you can have like 8-person races with other cars like you would normally have in Forza Horizon, which I imagine is geared more towards like multiplayer. Because if you're doing like, I don't know, point to point and taking turns, it might be kind of boring because then you're just waiting like 5 minutes for people to finish their race. But yeah, it's solid. It's a solid DLC, solid little add-on. Some good races, some good tracks and stuff like that. Fun little cars.
Sweet.
Yep. I've always been a sucker for rally racing games since Gran Turismo 2 or 3 on the PS2 that had a rally mode. And you had to
it was 2.
You had to earn that rally license. Whew,
yeah.
So fun. And then it made me question if I want to download like a more serious rally game that's on Game Pass because Codemasters, who has made a lot of the more simulation rally racing games, was bought out by EA a couple of years ago. So a lot of those dirt rally and dirt games are on Game Pass. So
nice.
I might check out one of those soon.
They make the Formula 1 games too, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Codemasters does. Yeah.
Codemasters just sounds like offset of Game Genie.
Yeah. Now they're known for making legit racing games, and I think
didn't they make Mill Sims for a while?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, Codemasters, I've known playing on the Xbox 360 their racing stuff. I think they also do MotoGP, which is also the motorcycle one. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that one, but yeah.
Codemasters. Well, it seems like there's a couple Codemasters, but they made Operation Flashpoint. And then, but back in the day, I don't know if you ever played that.
I think so.
It was cool. It was kind of like Arma, which I think they also are maybe affiliated with, or part of them were, or something like that. I don't really know, but yeah. All I know is DayZ came from there, and I love that game.
Oh, Project Cars. I didn't know they did that one too.
Yeah.
Colin McRae was the rally and dirt ones. Dizzy F1 Grid. I didn't know they did Grid either. That's kind of the more arcadey one, I think. But Micro Machines, LMA Manager. What is that? Oh, like a soccer manager game. Yeah, and then Operation Flash.
Having my ass off I think my ass off simulator.
Yeah. Operation Flashpoint. Also Arma Cold War Assault. So
Oh, okay.
it's the same thing.
Nice.
So
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they're got bought out by EA in 2021.
So are you does this mean you're gonna get a racing wheel and a IR
Yeah.
tracker?
No. I back in the day when I worked at Best Buy, I used to be able to get like peripherals and accessories super cheap, like 10% above cost, which accessories like have a huge markup already. So I bought like the Xbox 360 racing wheel when I bought Dirt, and it was so fucking cool. Like,
I remember that.
yeah, it just like the amount of feedback and stuff you got when you're racing and hitting the dirt and transitioning to pavement was so awesome. But no, I will not be doing that.
We had a closet full of peripherals for games.
Yeah.
That was such a big closet.
Yeah.
It was. There was
Just-
like 2 Rock Band sets, a racing wheel, the beat game, like the
There's just
record,
a bin of Ethernet
DJ
cables.
Hero.
DJ Hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It was great.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Well, we had a rock band set, and then the Guitar Hero World Tour set,
Right.
which was the one with the cymbals.
Right.
And then we smashed the shit out of the kick pedal and had to duct tape it back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Those are good
Good.
days. Good days.
Good times.
Yeah. So that's what I've been playing outside of Returnal.
Very
Need more
nice.
Need more peripheral games is what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what? I'm trying to think of something that I feel like I heard was making a comeback, but I can't remember
I got the
what it
Wii
was.
or the Switch Fit, and I thought that was going to be something I used a lot.
Ring Fit Adventure.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No, not a.
It's fine.
You're not logging in every day.
No, I even set up an alarm on. We've talked about this before, but I set up an alarm on my Switch that goes off that reminds you to play the game.
Well, your Switch wasn't even plugged in for like
That's
2 years.
That's also the problem.
True.
The reminder's going off. It's just
Gotta
not plugged
dock
in.
it. Gotta dock it. Yeah.
It's dead right now in a drawer.
Oh, wow.
It's waiting for Tears of the Kingdom to come out.
Ooh, a tease.
Well, speaking of the Switch, what have you been playing, Eric?
Or not the Switch.
Hey, you own the game. It's cool. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I am replaying the higher graphic fidelity version of Breath of the Wild,
Nice.
and have
Does it count
barely.
as replaying if you barely got into it the first time?
Hey, I got into it a lot further than I did this time because I've been playing a lot more now,
Mhm.
and I haven't even fought a guardian. I've like
Exploring, just exploring.
I mean, you
Yeah.
can basically do everything and then leave the 4 guardians till the end.
Well, that's what I'm doing, like shrines and trying to get all the towers.
Mhm.
Nice.
Some of the towers you can't get to because you have to kill like the sand guardian or whatever to even get over that
Oh,
way.
Is that right? Yeah.
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 It's clouded.
So there is some like gatekeeping on stuff like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, back into it. Had to skip some of the shrines the same way I had to skip shrines when I first played it. Because I have like 4 hearts. I'm not like leveled up in any way, and I don't have any recipes that give me like additional hearts yet.
Mhm.
So still figure it out. I die in like 1 hit. It's crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah, just so I'm playing that. Trying to get ready for Tears of the Kingdom.
Nice.
Awesome. Great game.
And then someone's already like, I was talking to someone at work on Slack, and they already like, they're like, oh man, I sure hope this and this and this happens. And I was like, man, I haven't even beat the first one. I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah. Taco in the Discord channel has been talking a lot about the lore of the game, and I don't know any of it.
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
Like it's cool that people actually like pick that up in the game, but I mean, I just like I just like to walk in the fields and
Mhm.
take pictures of all the animals,
Yeah, I mean
Yes.
the basic thing is he was put to sleep 100 years ago, and he's back to fight the big baddie.
Mhm.
Right.
So I don't know what the new one's gonna be. They just put him back to sleep again.
Yeah, they do. For another 100 years.
Yeah.
I haven't beat Breath of the Wild, so I don't know what
the
happens.
story of Master Chief, right? They put him in a cryo chamber and woke him up when he-
Maybe
they needed people's asses kicked.
Look
maybe
out, problem.
Zelda and Halo are actually the same game.
The same game.
It's just
Um,
People have
generations
been for like
later.
years trying to connect all the Zelda games, like
Oh.
timeline wise.
oh, for sure. For sure.
It's pretty
There's-
funny.
there's
I haven't
huge-
looked into it, but
Yeah.
it's
Is,
funny to think that.
Tears of the Kingdom supposed to be a like direct sequel time wise, or does it take place before or
No, it's
I
like
have
do we
no
know?
idea.
I think it's a time jump.
It's
Time
probably just a time jump. I bet they always time jump. I mean, I guess Majora's Mask is technically in the same timeline as
Ocarina of Time?
Ocarina of Time, but
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be like loosely some sort of
Yeah, I
connection.
thought it was
there,
like I thought
but-
there was
I
like a
thought it was
direct connection, but I don't.
I mean,
know which way.
the like from the gameplay trailers and stuff, it does look like I see stuff in the game that I'm like, I know that landmark from Breath of the Wild. So I don't know.
Right.
I think this is the second like direct sequel, right?
Yeah, there was a direct sequel to A Link to the Past at some point, I think.
That's why I thought this was going to be the first one where they actually had like import your save, like the house you get or whatever. Still get your horses.
Import your save.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
What kind of company do you think this is?
Well,
That's-
I know. I thought it was the first.
That's
I
some
thought it was gonna be
Zelda
the first time they're
blasphemy.
doing it.
Some Nintendo blasphemy, I think.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Maybe
import your
this
save.
was their first time doing it. You know,
Come on, no, never.
but this is just to sell another product.
You're
and,
only going to be able to do that when they repackage the game with both of them, and you have to pay $120
That's what I'm saying. It's
for
going
the
to happen
remaster.
when they announce a new system.
And then you can play through that Breath of the Wild, but you can't use your save from the other Breath of the Wild. But then you can cross save, but you have to pay to transfer your save from the remaster Breath of the Wild to the remaster of Tears of the Kingdom. It's easy. It's easy.
It's easy, Matt.
Don't worry about it. Just do it.
You're just gonna have to have the Nintendo Online subscription to cloud save your save and then transfer it over.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to at some point plug your physical Switch into another Switch to get it to like activate.
Are you talking about like a Switch link cable?
Yeah, cable. A Switch cable.
Link cable.
Nice.
Link cable.
Oh,
That's all we
link
need.
cable for Link.
A link cable.
Capital L link cable.
That's just ridiculous. Anyway,
you're just giving them ideas now, Nolan.
I know.
They already have all these ideas 10 years ago. That's the genius. That's the genius of Nintendo, Eric.
Nintendo's been ahead of us all this time.
We'll give in this one time. Just give in once for us.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about Tears of the Kingdom towards the end of the podcast.
Yes.
A tease, if you will.
Yeah.
Because normally this is the time of the show where we usually talk about gaming news. We like to pick a topic that really matters to us, that we want to dive into further. But it's just been a rough month out there in the land of video games and video game news. So we're gonna skip it. We're gonna skip this topic entirely, actually.
Yeah.
This month. And instead we'll talk about our next month's game for an extended period of time because we are
excited.
Very excited. Very excited.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good.
So we're skipping straight into game of the show, Returnal. I'm not ready to talk about this game yet. Returnal is a roguelike video game developed by Housemarque and published by Sony Interactive. It was released for the PlayStation 5 on April 30th, 2021, and Windows on February 15th, 2023. The game follows Celine Vassos, an astronaut who lands on the planet of Atropos in search of the mysterious White Shadow signal and finds herself trapped in a time loop. Loop.
Deathloop game.
A Deathloop game.
It is a Deathloop.
Developed by Housemarque. Housemarque was independent before this game came out, and they got purchased by Sony Interactive shortly after. Applicable awards. It got a BAFTA for best game.
We got a couple BAFTAs, didn't it?
Just for best game. Well, no.
Oh.
Sorry. Yes, it did get a couple BAFTAs. Best game is the only one where only best game that it won from BAFTA, best action game from the Game Awards, and then it won several other sound and sound design and soundtrack. You really fucked me up here, Nolan.
I'm so sorry.
Just let me roll with it. Then you can ask
you know what?
questions.
No, I'm sorry. I really. Oh, good job. Great job, Ryan. You're doing a bang up job. I'm going to be quiet now.
Great. Metacritic, 86 on PC and PS5, which I kind of found it interesting. Same score. Huh. So that's what I was kind of wondering from the original PS5 release to the PC, where it came out with all the extra updates and stuff like that on PC. So still hit an 86.
Still 86.
But
interesting.
I feel like you do have like a lot less places like reviewing like a port type of thing, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like is like GameSpot and the other major publications going out and re-reviewing this game when it comes out on another platform?
Probably not.
Typically not, I would say.
Unless it's like abysmal, I could see them being like, don't get this one.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah. That would just
They
be like a
public. They tricked you once.
That would be like a public service announcement type of situation.
Yeah.
So I played it on PC. Nolan played it on PC as well. None of us are PS5 owners at this point in time.
No.
Difficulty, there was no difficulty slider.
Right. Only one difficulty.
Only one difficulty, very hard. And I played it for about 20 hours. Nolan, how about you?
I'm sitting around 18 according to the game.
Nice.
Dang.
I must have left my game open for a few extra hours.
Must have.
Pulling
I
an
also
Eric.
I did. I pulled an Eric.
I also played it on stream for 3, 6, 9, 12 to 15 of those hours, which makes it a little bit more challenging.
It does. Yes. For sure.
Yeah.
And we did some co-op in your game.
Oh, that's right. We did do some co-op,
which is pretty difficult. It boosts the difficulty.
It does. Yeah.
Steal your hours, Nolan. Steal from your 18.
Oh,
I think it did steal from my hours.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I definitely was on a run, and me and Cody went to the store. And I just paused it because I knew I was going to come back and play some more. So
you
nice.
Didn't suspend the cycle.
No. I was like, why bother?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time I had to bow out on this one.
Don't have
the hardware.
True.
And I have a child.
And I was going to say you have a good excuse, but bad hardware is not a good excuse.
Mm-hmm.
No way, man. It would have cost me like thousands of dollars to just play this one game.
Thousands?
Plural.
I mean, yes. There would be other games. There would be more games that you could play. But
yeah, I don't think I could justify buying a new PC right now. For a whole load of reasons.
Needs it.
Yeah, I need to build that gaming PC for my child future.
So as we mentioned, so you play as Celine, a deep space scout working for Astra. While on a mission, she defies orders so she can track down a mysterious signal codenamed White Shadow. Following this signal, it causes her to crash land on a planet called Atropos. and she must face the horrors of a time loop that reawakens her in the same place every time she dies. Every time this happens, the world changes around her, and new obstacles and challenges appear.
Yes.
So Astra itself is like a discovery type of space exploration outfit. Like they're not like conquering worlds or anything like that, right? Like they're kind of solo astronauts, scouts, kind of just exploring planets, reporting their findings. You know, they're explicitly told not to like interfere with other like species and stuff, like unless they're hostile, if I remember right.
Oh, I don't remember much about Astra. I tried looking it up and I just couldn't find much about
Yeah.
it.
There's a little bit like right when you first kind of crash land on the planet. Cause she does just kind of have like a weak little gun, but she's also trying to like get stuff for her ship and find the white signal and hopefully use it to get her distress signal out. And then as you go through and you play the game, the story is told through, you find your dead body from previous time loops. And there's audio logs that can give some insight into fill in some gaps. And they're usually like she's just realizing she's in a time loop, but the audio logs present themselves as a Celine that kind of has figured out the world a little bit more. And as you get like further on, it gets just crazier and wilder and stuff like that.
They're all out of order, and she's in like different degrees of mental stability.
Yes, yeah. And
does it go down? She goes downhill as it goes, or is it just different depending on each run?
It seems like some of them are like she goes full on like crazy. Other ones she's still like with it. It seems like almost like well, I guess it's like a multiple like a multiverse kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And like even when you die or interact with certain objects in the world, like she'll get like flashbacks or visions of aliens and other fucking freaky shit. This is a pretty psychological horror-ish type of game. Mostly in like the way that the cutscenes and stories presented, not so much in like the gameplay itself. You know, a little intense, but it's not like Resident Evil where you got like zombies and stuff after.
Right. It's more like it's like it plays with like the feeling of like dread or something, being right on the edge of like what is around the corner. But there's never like nothing's going to jump out at you. But it's like that uneasy feeling throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet.
It always looked like you had an opportunity to like kind of sit and wait before you go to the next area after you finish an area.
Yeah. We'll definitely get into like how the map and area and combat kind of unfolds for sure. And then as you start to progress in your runs a little bit, you can come to a room or section that there is a like your old childhood house basically, or a vision of it or something like that, in which you can access it. And then you switch from like third person to first person and you can walk around. It's not a combat zone at all, and basically interact with other objects, and it tells more of your backstory. And there's only incremental points in the game when you can access the house that tells more and more of the story as you get further into the game.
Right.
And it gets crazy. It makes no sense to me at the moment, but
it does get pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I did not expect anything like that to be in this game. Like the switching to first person and like the kind of horror vibe that goes with it. Kind of looks like the house in PT, honestly. like the
Oh, the
L
L-shaped
inside. The
I was gonna say,
inside.
hallway.
Yeah.
it plays like it too.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So-
certainly does.
But very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It still doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but there's a lot of like lore and like secrets to be found in those houses, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also like a nice carrot like at the end of like each kind of round. So
I would prefer it to be changed a little bit instead of being like basically after you beat each boss, you can go back when you start your run over. You have to be in the first biome to get back into the house. But you
Mhm.
could skip the first biome. This is getting ahead a little bit. But you can skip biomes once you beat a boss and never really interact with the house again because it doesn't show up in the other biomes.
sure.
Like you have to go back to the first one. So I think I would just change it slightly where maybe after each boss, like the house shows up or something like that, and then you interact with it. So it kind of puts like a nice little bow on that section in that biome. Because of course after you die, you could go to the first biome and die again, and then maybe, like I said, not run back into the house again. And I wonder what would happen even if you skipped it. Like say you beat biome 2 and 3 and didn't go back into the house. How would that work? I never did that.
I actually did that.
Oh, you did?
And it basically was open. It was open twice. So like after my I had to redo a run, but the next time I did the run, I could go back in the house again.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Yeah.
Basically, every time I fought a boss in this game, I killed that boss in the second attempt. So I never won.
Nice.
I never took down a boss in one try.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, actually, except for the boss in Biome 5, I haven't gone back to the house since then.
Oh, okay.
I used the reconstructor, whatever it is, that we'll get into a little bit later.
Nice.
But I didn't
Nice.
die. I didn't die.
Oh, okay. I see.
Okay. So the story is pretty secondary to this game compared to all the roguelike aspects in the gameplay. It's very story light, but I think it's good for what it has. Like Nolan said, it's a lot more than I expected.
Yeah.
I don't.
I actually disagree with you.
Oh,
I think it's actually has a lot more story than other roguelites. Just the way it presents it. Like, I mean, definitely with like the how like the next step after what you're at kind of wraps it up a little more, but and then with the Tower of Sisyphus, it adds a lot more. It goes way more into more like backstory.
it what now? The tower climb infinite hell mode or whatever.
Yeah, like so it's funny because we were talking about doing it, and we're like, I wonder if we should wait.
Yeah.
And we saw like a post that said, "Don't play it until you beat it because you need to use all your abilities." But it didn't say anything about story, and there is a lot of story in that. Like the whole thing tells like the backstory of Celine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
so
interesting.
yeah.
I do agree with you that this game does a very good job of telling the story compared to other roguelikes, but I just mean it like to me it's like secondary.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
To like the main mechanics of like the gameplay and the game loop and stuff. Like it just takes a little bit of a backseat to all that stuff.
I got you. I thought you were just saying there were like, yeah, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
I think I was kind of surprised how much story was in this game. I wasn't expecting it.
For sure. I just expected crazy colors and graphics and blue shit flying at you. And
that's what I always
that's what I expected too. I mean, if you've played their Housemarque's other games, that's exactly what you get.
True.
And they're awesome. But
what was the PS3 launch game that was packed in with it?
Resogun?
Resogun.
Yeah.
Resogun. Yeah. Awesome game.
Awesome game. I
Yeah.
played. That was
The
the
game was
only
really
game
fun.
when I got my PS4. That was the only game that was out really at the time,
Oh yeah.
besides like Watch Dogs. So I played
Oh yeah.
Resogun
PS4.
like
Yeah, PS4.
nonstop.
Yeah.
It was great.
Did
Damn,
that get
game
ported
feels.
to anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is that on Steam or can I play that game on my
Resogun?
Steam
I
Deck?
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Should
can
be.
play it on my PS Vita.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
very
right.
nice.
I did do that.
I do want to. Can I? I want to talk one more thing about this game and the story.
Mhm.
So shout out to a YouTuber named the V Side, because he goes into a lot of like the lore of the game, and there's a lot of like hidden messages and like art pieces that explain like the story, like some of the story, and how like almost everything in this game is related to Greek mythology, like all the characters' names, all like, and how that plays into kind of the I mean, it's open to interpretation, but he does a really good job of explaining like why he thinks the story is what it is.
Mm.
And it's like, I don't think I'm going to go back and try to find all that stuff, but I'm very excited to watch some more videos on like all that stuff.
Nice.
So,
That's cool.
but yeah, it's really cool. It's definitely worth a look if you are interested in kind of the like meaning of the game or whatever. So
Resogun only on PS4, PS3, and the PlayStation Vita.
damn,
Damn.
I'm gonna play it on the Vita right after this.
Yeah, I loaded up with that.
Yeah. That's a
You
good,
got that charged?
good
Oh, it's
game.
charged. I can
You
see
have
it right
all
here.
you have all your handheld devices charged?
Oh, they're all charged, man.
They're all charged. Fully charged, full bats all the time.
2 Vitas and a PSP, all charged.
Yeah, 2 Vitas?
Yeah, I have one that I jailbroke, and then my original one.
Nice. What kind of UMDs you got there? What kind of UMD films?
I think
got
the only
Step Brothers?
I only
you,
have
you got the nice guys?
I sold all my UMDs actually, but I do have.
I'd like
I
to
think I
know
have-
the UMD film, like which one was the best one, profit wise? None of them.
Which one sold the most?
Yeah,
Like they sold the most of physical PS Vita Sony UMDs?
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's a good question. Let us know if you figure it out.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay. So notable mechanics. There's a lot going on in this game in terms of the systems and currencies and equipments and upgrades and all that stuff. So like we said, it is a roguelike. So basically each run, you start out at the beginning of the first biome with a pistol. And then as you go, you level up your weapon mastery, which is just kind of like an experience level. And for each one, you start at level 0. And then once you get to level 1, the lowest weapon you'll find is a level 1. You get to level 2, the lowest weapon you'll find is level 2. And there's a variety of weapons, basically. And I think the highest weapon you can find, say you're a level 2, I think you can find up to 3 levels higher, which is considered to be very rare. So you could find a level 5 weapon. And each biome basically maxes out at a certain weapon expertise until you get to the next biome. So there's that bit. And then you got currencies that are per run, and one currency that carries over to additional runs called what, Nolan?
Ether. I guess Ether. I'm sorry.
It's Ether,
Yeah.
Nolan. Ether. So Ether,
Yes.
Ether is like a currency you can find that carries over to other runs, in which you can buy like certain upgrades and stuff like that. When you kill enemies, they drop obolets. Did we ever figure out specifically
I
how to
think
stuff?
it is obolets. I think
Obolets.
that's
It's
right.
this nice
Yeah.
glittery gem that you build up, and there's like little stations where you can buy upgrades or consumables. Consumables are like one-time use things in which you have like a certain amount of slots for those. Then there are artifacts, which are permanent upgrades per run. So they're not permanent. They stick around for that run. And there's all sorts of crazy ones that can increase melee damage, or they buff your gun and maybe decrease something else. There's all sorts of crazy shit going on there. I feel like there's one other currency I'm forgetting. Maybe. I don't know if it really matters.
I think it's just the two.
Okay. And then you got permanent equipment, which once you acquire those from either beating certain stuff in biomes or a boss, like those stick around for every run. Like you do get a melee,
Yeah.
which is like a badass looking sword.
Yeah.
And then you
it's like
get
a
like
laser
What about a
sword.
double jump?
No double
No
jump
double
in this
jump.
game.
No double jump.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But you
get
do jump high.
Yeah, you do get jump high. There's a hook shot, which is a
Which
big
is
upgrade.
great.
Saw the hook shot. Saw you guys
This is a
zipping
big upgrade.
around.
You get that after the boss in the second biome. And then there's like this whole risk reward system that the game has. Like there are things called parasites that basically latch onto your suit, which give you a buff to one stat and a debuff to another stat at the same time. So you're kind of balancing out which one of those you want to keep. And then there are, I think this is the last major section. There are malfunctions, suit malfunctions. So certain doors and chests can be cursed. Basically, yeah, it's called malignancy. And if you decide to use those, there's a percentage chance that it'll cause a suit malfunction. And a suit malfunction will be something like you can't perform gun overloads, which are like perfect reloads, basically. Like, where that you have that timed window where you can hit that sweet spot and you get a reload. There's a malfunction.
Overdrive.
There's a malfunction where you can't overload. And to fix that malfunction, sometimes you have to like kill 15 enemies or open 2 chests or use 3 consumables. There's all sorts of different scenarios that pop up for that. So you're balancing all those equipment, the guns, the currencies, the parasites, and the malfunctions in one somewhat complex system.
Yes.
Very complex system, I guess.
Yeah.
Did I miss
for sure
anything, Nolan?
Not really. I mean, you're also upgrading your weapons. Did you mention that?
We talked about the weapon mastery. Oh, no. We didn't talk about
like
we didn't talk about upgrading the individual weapon.
Like
stats.
You're incentivized to use different weapons because they unlock different like traits for those guns, which like the shotgun has like different spreads of bullets. So like
there's like narrow and wide.
Yeah, there's narrow, wide, and then like a slug and some other stuff like that. Or like the tachyomatic carbine, which is like the assault rifle, has a thing called leech rounds, which have a chance of healing you as you do damage to enemies. And then there's multiple steps of that as you get farther in the game, or like the higher the gun is. So it's pretty cool. It definitely, I think it adds a lot of variety to the guns. So. And it's just another thing to keep track of.
Yes,
you guys made it all seem flawless on stream, so I didn't,
great.
didn't notice any of this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, it honestly, like the game at the beginning doesn't do. I mean, I think it does definitely pop up and tell you, but there's like so many different things it introduces you right off the bat that it's like hard to keep track of. And even it took me like probably a good 5 hours maybe to like kind of realize what everything does and what's worthwhile and what's not.
Yeah.
And that's not even like the randomness, like the artifacts and consumables that you can come across, like just keeping track of the currencies and which ones do what, and reading the map in itself is its own unique kind of beast to tackle. So
Yeah.
it definitely drops a lot at you. It does have like if you pause the game, there's like a tutorial sub menu that has all those options, or all the different currencies and systems and stuff that's going on, that does do a good job explaining it. And I definitely had to use that a couple times to get a good grasp on what's going on with everything. Because once you get a run going too, and there's all these enemies coming at you, that's can be a lot to keep track of for sure.
It definitely took I think the first time, I think when you streamed it, you were like, you either had it all kind of figured out, or you already like had some sort of like a jump into it. And because I really struggled before, I was like, what the fuck is all this shit? Like, like I just couldn't keep track of it all. And then breaking it down while you were playing, I was like, okay, I got it now. So
yeah,
but
yeah, I think I maybe played like 4 hours before we started streaming. So I definitely had I got to the first boss once, which it took quite a bit of deaths to get that far. So yeah, I had a stronger hold on what was going on with all that.
Some of the descriptions of items, like artifacts, are like, I don't know if it's purposely vague or what, but like there's a item you get that's like a two-way radio. It's like a child's like radio. And it's the description is there is a connection between ether and what's psyllium? Is that what heals you?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's all it says. And there's no it doesn't tell you there's no percentage, there's nothing. It's like, well, what does that mean? Like, when I pick up ether, do I get healed? I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
I had it for like my whole last run and I didn't know what it did. And I was like, well, but I mean, I feel like
a positive relation between ether and protection, it says. So maybe it must be the more
protection
you
have,
the more protection you have.
But why not just say like you get a protection boost for the amount of ether you have?
There is some vague ones, and I think those are all the ones that have to deal with her past,
house,
or that are like childhood memories, because there is another one, the astronaut statue.
Right.
It just says like, oh, you remember what this is, or something like that. And if you have it and you die, you revive with like 50% health. But it doesn't tell you that at all either. Until I don't even remember how I found out that's what it was. Like, you revive obviously, but I'm like, oh, what happened? Oh, I was in the middle of the first boss when it happened, and I was like, maybe 10% health left, and I was just like, no, like hands over head, like fuck. But then I was back and I was like, oh my God. I think I was like up out of my chair, like stretching or something. And I was like, what is happening?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So yeah, some obscure stuff going on for sure.
I always like when the health items just auto. I know it's stressful when you don't know about it, but I love when it just does it for you.
Oh, like you don't
have to pause the game. Yeah, you don't have to hit a button.
Yeah. There's also a weird like color variation is kind of weird in this game too. Like, purple is like the color of malignant items, but it's also the color of ether, and parasites. And psyllium is green and resin is green, and they both have the same icon on your map. So you don't really, and then sometimes it's malignant resin, but it's still green on your map. So you don't know all the time what it is. It just seems like
Yeah.
why not make a purple cross? Like as soon as you see it, purple cross. You know it's malignant.
Yeah.
Why have both resin and like it's just weird.
Currencies, I feel like currencies, artifacts, and or not all currencies, sorry, obolites and artifacts and consumables are all yellow too.
Artifacts are blue.
Oh right,
But
blue.
keys
but-
are also blue.
and the gun.
Guns are red. Guns are red.
No. It's like the little gun thing that gives you the skill bonus. The skill.
Oh,
skill up.
yes.
Gun
Yes.
experience. I don't remember what it's called, but
Right.
but that is blue.
Yeah. It's just like, what?
It's too much.
It was too much. But once you figure it out, I think it works pretty well. It just takes a lot to figure out. And like we said, balancing like the currencies and stuff.
I have a problem with just being colorblind, and color coding stuff is so annoying in games. When we loaded up Redfall the other day, you can like change it in the menu settings, but then it doesn't fix the fact that if you tell me to go pick up the red thing and I changed it to like blue, I'm like, what? There's just like a lot of like disconnect between me and like color coding in games, and all the games do it.
Yeah.
Well, this game has disregarded color coding, so you don't have to worry about it.
It's just a haphazard shotgun approach.
Yep, for sure. So Eric, like you were kind of mentioning before, or you were alluding to a little bit, like the map. So there's each biome has kind of like a theme. Like the first one is called the overgrown something. No, I don't remember, but it's basically like a forest type level. And everywhere you go in this biome is going to be that same type of environment. But as you look at the map, and each time you die, the map does change slightly. There's basically rooms that are strung along the map. And when you look at it, there are rectangle doors, which basically take you to your objective. So if you just want to go straight through to the objective, you can follow those ones. But there's triangle shaped doors that are side objectives, basically, or side rooms. Like they're not going to lead anywhere, but they usually have a chance of giving you a reward or a bonus item or something like that. But sometimes you'll pop in those rooms and there's just a nasty boy just guarding that thing. Yeah. So as you're exploring, you can kind of be like, oh, I just need to go push you to this objective a little bit, especially if you're like low on health, or you're like, oh, do I sidetrack and hope that there's some health or a bigger gun or something in that? And then there's also these kind of like hidden caverns you can drop into, which are the same type of thing, like high risk, high reward type scenarios. So like the whole time you're in each biome, you have the main objective you're trying to complete, and then you're kind of judging how much more you want to level up or try to progress your character or weapons or gain other, consumables to getting through the biome to the boss. So it's always, the game very much tries to, I don't know if it's not necessarily always rewarding you with exploration, because sometimes it is certainly punishing you for exploring, but it's a gamble. It's always a gamble in your run if you're going to take these side rooms and bonus rooms. I almost did every time because I kind of liked the, oh shit, there's a big nasty boy in here. I hope he has something good to, trying to mainline at some point to get.
Anytime you guys would go to him, I would kind of, some reason it reminded me of Hades a lot, but even though Hades kind of, you're doing upgrade paths instead of, like, they never punished you for picking.
Yeah, you always knew what you're going into.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. You don't know what you're going into in these rooms or doors.
No.
Yeah.
And the elite enemies can spawn at any time.
Yeah.
Like in any
Does it
room.
lock you in?
Yeah.
if
So
you
like
choose
when
to go in it.
when
yes.
like an elite shows up, it is like the doors lock and it's on. And they're pretty hard.
Yeah. It's like area lockdown, like the music turns all intense and
Yeah.
you can hear the doors, like the door animations in this game are really
Yeah.
cool, like how they lock, but there's just like these huge bars that just go across and you're like, oh my God. But Eric, you were asking earlier, like once you clear a room, yeah, you're kind of clear. Like you can
That's
explore.
because that's what I saw most of the time.
Yeah.
And
There are
sometimes,
a couple times where enemies will show up as you
yeah,
like backtrack, but not
only
very
found
often.
that like super rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would only be like a couple. Like it was never like anything crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
You were right. It is Overgrown Ruins, by the
okay.
way.
Okay. Nolan, what did you think about like the risk reward between like those side missions and the chests with the malfunctions and all that? That stuff?
I honestly didn't. I avoided it all.
Oh, really? Even the side
like
quest things?
I mean, I did. I would open the room and see what was inside, and then if it was just another like combat room, I would usually skip it.
Wow.
Because I mean, I did. Like when I was, especially in the first act, like I really checked every nook and cranny, but at the end, it was like more about like what gun I had and how much health I had. So, but
then you're just like trying to survive than trying to level up more than anything.
Yeah. Like there was a couple runs where I was like, okay, I have like a couple items that will get rid of malfunctions. So I'll just open as many malignant chests as I can.
Yeah.
And then I'll pop one of those and like wipe out all of, but it was like very much depending on what items I had.
Yeah.
So
the chests were always like such a gamble if you were going to get anything good out of them anyway. So like anytime there's a malignant one, I'm like, nah, I didn't.
Yeah. And also my guns, the guns that you would find in the chest were always lower than the gun I had because you would fight an elite enemy, get a higher level gun.
Oh, right.
And then you're leveling up your like weapon skill, but it almost felt like it was always lower than the gun I had. So I rarely upgraded from the chests,
Yeah.
And chests only drop items at your current level. So, but I mean, yeah, anything with ooblets was important, like having lots of cash. Got to get the ooblets.
Got to get the ooblets.
And then finding those rooms with the vending machines, basically. So,
yeah. Nice. So the biomes. So like, well, the first one we got the forest. The second one was like a desert.
Yes.
The third one was like I don't know what you would call it. A dungeon almost.
Well, it's like giant like monolithic buildings that you have to like launch between, like
a fortress of some sort.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one, you're replaying the first one with a different aesthetic.
Yes.
Basically.
There's a huge time jump between Act 1 and Act 2.
Yeah.
And the biomes are split into 3. And you come back to Atropos after living a long life on Earth. And you find out you're still in the loop. And now like the overgrown ruins are now the echoing ruins, and it's all like different color pattern. There's these gross alien egg sacs everywhere.
Yeah, those are gross. And you walk into them and they squish all the time. Or you back into them and they pop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very gross.
It was gross.
But you're basically replaying the first 3 biomes with a different color texture.
Yes.
Palette. Enemy type does change.
Yeah. Gets much harder in Act 2.
Much harder. So the second biome the fifth biome instead of being a desert one is a snow and ice biome.
Yeah.
And Nolan, you can fill me in what the sixth one is since you got there.
So the sixth biome is what is called the abyssal scar, is a underwater biome.
Mm-hmm.
But you sink. You're not like swimming around.
Okay.
But oh man, you know that how I was saying like this game really plays with the feeling of like you're always being watched or like something's gonna reach out and grab you.
Mm-hmm.
This one like
To the
because
max.
you're at the bottom of an ocean, so like
Yeah.
you're looking out into like it's basically like
Black.
the derelict citadel, you know, like with like the big monolithic buildings. But now instead of like a kind of a hazy green sky, it's just ocean black, and you're like and things will come at you at all angles. It's it's sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Are there any particular biomes that you liked more than the others, or how did you think they evolved as the game progressed?
I think I think they're all pretty cool, to be honest. Like derelict citadel, which is the third biome, I didn't necessarily like the design of the biome as much as I liked the mechanic of it, which was lots of ziplining.
Yeah.
It was just really fun to like rocket around the map, you know. But
for sure.
I think all of them were really cool. I think the second act was a little like tighter, I guess. They seem smaller.
They're shorter, right?
Shorter, but like they had more like fracturing hallways that you needed to go down. But overall I thought all of them were pretty interesting.
Yeah, the first one, you know, it's kind of cool that you're like landing on this like almost like Earth like planet, you know?
Yes.
Earth like as far as just vegetation.
Right.
Not as in anything else. And then the second planet just being like that super red desert, like the contrast was like super awesome. I thought,
and it was just so much more open. Like,
yeah, that too.
Like, I don't know. I guess they showed the first 3 or the first 5 in like the promotional stuff, but I really only remember seeing the first one. Like, so seeing all the other ones for the first time was really cool.
Yeah. And then the third one, to your point, it was just like the color palette and stuff was like just so muted and uninteresting to me. But I did like the mechanics of that one where you're kind of zipping around and flying all over the place. And then Act 2, I thought it was kind of disappointing that you're replaying the same biomes just with a different look and feel, you know? Like even the room layouts are exactly the same. Well, they add a couple, but you can run into basically identical room types that were in that first biome and second and third one.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Echoing Ruins definitely felt that because it felt like the biggest biome of the 3, you know?
Yeah.
But Abyssal Scar is pretty large, but it has a pretty significant like change of gameplay and also just in look.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I kind of forgot that was like the reskin of Derelict Citadel while I was playing it.
They do kind of change it up the mechanic a little bit, how you progress through it. Cause in Act 1, you could just, if you found the boss door, you could go just straight to it if you wanted to. But in the second act, you need like a particular set, you need a certain number of keys. So you have to explore to the end of like certain groups of rooms to get the key before you can go back to kind of the central area and open the door to the boss. So that made it a little different, but
Yeah. The end of the Echoing Ruins is really cool too. Because when you get to the spire and you have to like climb to the top of it,
Hell yeah.
that was so badass.
That was really, really badass.
So,
yeah. That was the next thing to talk about was just the boss scenarios that they have in this game. Because a lot of the time in your combat, you're fighting, some larger enemies, some smaller enemies. There's a good amount of like enemy variation, which is pretty cool. Some are like a lot more aggressive and small and kind of like slither at you. There's flying and stuff. But the boss scenarios or fights are fucking awesome.
They're pretty epic.
They're epic. They are huge, grand scale.
Yeah.
Insane to some degree, like the amount of like the balance you have to have between dodging and jumping and shooting and watching your health and stuff is like some of the most fun, like high skill, rewarding stuff that the game has to offer, I think.
I agree.
While not being like excruciatingly difficult,
Yeah.
They're tense.
Yeah.
They're tense as fuck, but when you get them.
I totally agree. Like I was kind of shocked. I wouldn't say they're easy, but I was like, definitely, I didn't have as much trouble with them as much as I thought I would have a lot more. But they just were so cool. Like every time, like the second boss is like this flying, like winged, like mummy looking giant. And
it's almost something out of a Metal Hellsinger, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That biome specifically reminded me a lot of Metal Hellsinger, but he does he smashes down into the center of the arena, like lifts his sword in the air, and like the sky turns blue, and like these like blue orbs are radiating out of him as giant electrical walls are like also radiating out of him on the ground. So you're like jumping over the walls and dodging all these like falling like attacks on you. And like I almost froze because it looks so badass. Like it was so cool. Yeah. I think I screenshot it because I was like, holy shit, this is so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the visual effects, not just in like the boss fights, but just the general environments and projectiles, like kind of a signature Housemarque thing, how they do like lighting effects and projectiles and stuff is super cool. And in like this type of environment where they're like flying directly at you and like at the camera creates like such a cool effect. And just the epic grand scale and level that these bosses are designed at is just so cool. So terrifying.
It is.
Cheese one of them.
Did I?
I don't think I did.
Behind a pole or something? Or was that just a normal?
That was just a normal. That was just a normie. Yeah. I mean, I definitely like you said, the bosses, I didn't find them to be easy by any means. Like also once you kind of get to the boss, you're like, okay, this is the boss. We can backtrack and kind of buy whatever supplies we need or anything like that. I mean, I definitely died a lot more just navigating the biomes than just the bosses. Like,
same.
Like I said, if I died twice at each boss, which may or may not be true, I got through 5 of them. That's like maybe 7 to 10 deaths, maybe. So
right, yeah,
pretty low on the overall death count. My total death count was 22. So
yeah, mine was 16.
Damn, you boss.
Yeah,
because I showed you how to do it on the stream.
That's right. I got the pro strats.
Yeah, you got
yeah.
Screen peek.
So one kind of cool thing about the game, as far as like how it keeps your progression, or at least keeps you moving through the biomes, because it's not a small roguelike game. Like it's a very big long game, is that after you beat a boss, you get a key, whereas you can find a door in each biome to basically skip to the next biome. So you can quickly progress through. Once you beat the first boss, you get the key. You can quickly progress to the second biome as soon as you find the room that has the door, basically. So you kind of get a balance, like how much you want to spend time in the first biome, like leveling up and collecting equipment and currency before you step into biome 2, and so on and so on. And then once you clear biome 3, there's that big time jump that Nolan mentioned to Act 2. You're always starting at biome 4. You're never going back to the beginning of the game.
Nice. I like that.
So you do kind of have like a steady progression ish as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I going to go with that? I think that was it. The keys. The keys.
Yeah. They, it is nice that they, like, those are things you like don't have to find over and over.
I remember what I was going to ask. Did you ever refight any bosses, Nolan?
No, I didn't.
I thought about going back and refighting the first boss to see if they were like extra hard, or if there was like a boss plus or something like that, 2 of them or something crazy. But I never got around to it. So how much?
I think you do unlock more, like, because there's like redacted stuff in their there's bios on your
the enemy, the it's like a codex basically, and the more the enemy type you beat, it unlocks more of like their background and stuff like that.
So I think the more times you fight a boss, it unlocks more information about them. But I don't know. I didn't do any of that.
Nice. I did forget about that. Cool little thing. How much did you find yourself like using the keys? Did you ever like just skip the first biome entirely, or were you always kind of doing some exploring, getting some loot, and then moving on?
I definitely I kind of did both. Like I tried to move through as fast as I could. Like I never wanted to stay in a biome for too long, but I also didn't want to move on without being prepared. So like if I had low health, I would try to like heal up before I moved on, because
like
at the beginning
a good
of
Space Explorer should.
Yeah. Because at the beginning of each level, you pick up a weapon upgrade that basically boosts your ability or your weapon score up. But the vendors get more expensive in the later biomes. So if you can upgrade in the earlier one, it's more advantageous to do that. So I would try to like get some sort of progression and then skip. I never skipped like I would go through each one. I never would skip like once you get to the Citadel, you can skip the Crimson Waste altogether and just go straight to the Citadel. I didn't do that. I usually would go through them and like at least try to level up a little bit before moving on to the next one.
Nice.
But the second act, I definitely like spent a little more time, but I only did 2 runs really in the second act. So
okay. I've done only one in which I got to the second, or because it's always, to me, it's like Act 2, Biome 1, Biome 2, but it's still great. Let's see here. What else do we got? Okay, so it's a roguelike game, like we keep talking about. Roguelike is kind of mostly reference to, or I guess like an indie game format. I think this is really the first or only roguelike triple A game I can think of. Can you guys think of any others?
Do you consider Deathloop?
Not really.
Yeah.
So they got bought out right when that happened, right?
What was that?
Oh, they got bought out.
Oh yeah, but I would still
Right when
there is still like a triple A studio before Microsoft acquired him. But you keep like you're stashing like your guns and stuff, like you're building your loadout and skill sets and stuff before you start each run, right? You're not like losing that stuff. It's really only like it's more of a
lose
time
them
loop
if you
game than a
Yeah,
you lose them if you die, which
you do, but I mean, there's
You-
not a lot of randomization
that's true.
in the world.
yeah, there's
there's
just like
none
there's
really, right?
there's the 3 daytime, afternoon, and night, but some places you couldn't even go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything happens like they
Same.
move around the same no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's more
It's more like Sexy Brutal or whatever.
not too dissimilar though. Or somewhat close.
That's the only thing I can think of that's close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know any like true, or I don't know of any roguelites that are AAA.
Yeah. So kind of the first big step for roguelike games to hit the AAA like full price. I think I want to say this was like a full $70 game when it came out too.
Yep.
So definitely like a grander scale. Definitely takes like a lot more time to get through
Yeah.
the runs. What else do you think about this genre kind of taking on like the more bigger blockbuster side of things compared to like something like a Rogue Legacy or a Hades or a smaller indie title?
I think this like me not playing it and not knowing much about the story. I think you really kind of got to nail the story to be a bigger AAA.
Yeah.
Like even the roguelike genre, that's kind of a hard one to fit a story in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I was reading a little bit. I didn't really think about it too much while I was playing, but after I beat it, I was looking at some reviews on Metacritic, and I read a couple, or I listened to a couple like YouTube reviews, and a lot of the criticism I was saying was that this game doesn't do roguelite very well because there's not a lot of like a staple kind of structure to a roguelike game is there's a lot of replayability, like endless replayability.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing like you can try out an experiment with different builds.
Mm-hmm.
And this game has a little bit of that, but it doesn't have a lot of like synergy between like items that you're picking up and like your guns and like enemies that you're fighting. It always like for me it always came down to like upgrade my defense, my attack, and get some health stuff, and that's like what I'm gonna focus on.
Yeah.
But so I had so much fun playing. I wasn't really that concerned because like just like the gameplay feels so good that I was like, I don't need to like I'm doing just fine, like just doing what I'm doing. I don't need it to like worry about like builds. Like in Dead Cells, like I got really into like trying out like a power build or like a support build and like different weapons and different pickups and stuff. And so, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Like something I completely avoided altogether in this game was like a lot of like pretty I would say like warranted criticism of the game is like, oh, these are things that we expected in like a roguelike, and it's not really there. So
Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
I think an interesting thing I have noticed by like talking to other people about this game and us playing it is just like a lot of people are like, oh no, that's not a game for me. Like a roguelike is not an accessible genre of video games at all. And to try to make it AAA and more mainstream is already like a pretty monumental task. I think, especially for like the budget and the kind of like sales numbers you need to achieve to like justify like a studio spending a lot of money on a AAA game.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody at my work the other day was like, oh, hey, like what have you been playing lately? And I said I was playing Returnal, and they're like, oh, is that like hard space one? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's probably the one. I was like, and you die, or when you die when you start over. And he was like, yeah, that fucking sucks. he's like I stopped playing it immediately as soon as I figured that out. So like it's a genre that you really have to like introduce people to. It's not something like Destiny or World of Warcraft that has like all this legacy and lineage and a huge like following of MMO games, where like those are hardcore games. Like it takes a lot for people to get into those games, but they've just been so established, where a game like Returnal and a roguelike genre in this now like huge big budget game, it's a lot to explain to somebody if you're not into video games and kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Like I would have to go back and look at like the launch trailers and the original like game announcement trailers to see like how that was conveyed. But yeah,
well, I was gonna say, I bet a lot of people jumped in because it was like an early PS5 game, and not being much on the PS5 at the time, and then, I mean, the whole roguelike thing aside, but then not being able to pause the game, like basically.
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll definitely get into that too. But yeah, I think you're right. Like it was one of the first like next gen, maybe it could have even been the first next gen only game that was on PS5, because there was like when it launched, there was like Miles Morales and stuff, and maybe some other ones I'm probably not I can't think of, that launched with the PS5, but they were both on PS5 and PS4. I think this is like one of the first ones that was like a PS5 only title.
Yeah, because God of War was PS4, right? And Horizon.
Yeah, those were PS4.
Yeah. I just thinking like you're like cracking open your PS5 and you're like, oh, this game looks fun. And then you're just like, oh my God, what do I got myself into?
Pops up in the store. Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing like graphical showcase. So I could see yourself getting pretty like enthralled on the trailer and not knowing exactly what you're getting into and being like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But also it's quite a bit different gameplay. Like it's such, I've never played Devil May Cry, but I feel like it's kind of like that kind of like twitchy, just from comparing the two visually, like that kind of like twitchy, quick reaction type of gameplay.
Yeah, so those you can kind of get away with button smashing sometimes, though. Some of those, but
yeah, I think you can too. You just have to dodge. You have to dodge. Well, also you're not gonna, if you die in Devil May Cry, you're not starting over completely. Nolan stepped away. I imagine he's rehydrating or something like that.
It's a must.
It's a must. It's a must. Yeah. And like, I don't know if you're like looking at the reviews, like you just checked review scores and you're like, oh, 86 without like diving into the ins and outs of it. Like it's not a very accessible game. And I think every time, even though this game is close to the PC launch, like every time we were streaming it, there was not a lot of other people streaming it as well.
No,
So
when we were loading this up, I think there was like 64 people.
yeah, there's 28 people currently playing this game, which, you know, games die off on Twitch. That's not obviously the be all end all metric of how many people are playing it or how popular it is. I just liked it so much that I'm surprised it's not more popular game. I wonder how many.
Well, I was just thinking the fact that Dead Cells is still played by like a wide audience.
Yeah.
And that's because they added like tons of like boss only run things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely see this being like I know there's like speedrun stuff already, but you know, stuff like that in that community.
Well, let's see here. Okay.
Sorry, guys, I'm back.
No worries. So this is a year ago. Hold on. It says that in a couple months, Returnal only sold 500,000 copies, which I think is pretty low. But yeah, just a tough genre to try to get into that size and stuff. But I mean, obviously it worked out well for Housemarque because Sony decided to buy them anyways. But
yeah,
just an interesting genre to take to the AAA level and try to reach a broader audience with it.
I think this game is pretty unique, and I'm really glad it exists.
Oh, I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Nolan, from all like the game systems and stuff, any particular things that stood out to you that really worked, or any things that didn't?
Man. Sorry.
I can go first if you'd rather.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I personally had a hard time with the later stage weapons. Like there is some really difficult weapon types. The last one that I really latched onto was like that plasma rifle thing, or I guess there was kind of more of like a projectile one that kind of shot like a steady projectile type of thing. I can't remember what it was called. It was more like a DMR type of thing, basically, like a single shot.
The Hollow Seeker, is that what you're talking about?
That's like the plasma one. There's another one like that that's like shoots slower, like bigger bullets. It kind of seemed like.
Is it the Lectopylon driver?
No, that's a fucking hard one to use. So there's that one. There's the Bland Globber or whatever thing.
Rot Gland Lobber.
Yeah, Rot Gland Blobber. The rocket launcher are extremely difficult guns to use.
Yes.
And like when they introduce him to you, you're like, oh, cool, I'm gonna check out this new gun. They don't really give you like a space to like learn what it is. Like I had probably like 2 runs ruined. Not ruined. Well, yeah, ruined. We can go ahead and fairly say that by trying to experiment with like new weapon types, you know?
Yes. I did. That happened to me as well.
Yeah. I just would have liked a little, maybe like once you get them, like a training room on your ship or something like that. Would have been pretty sweet to get a little hang of them. But I think we'll talk to it a little bit more, like when we talk about like the co-op update briefly, is just like understanding what I think just the co-op could have been executed quite a bit better, and especially in the amount of like currencies and equipment and systems and stuff like that. But I mean, I really liked the kind of high risk, high reward nature of the game. You know, I'm glad we played it when we did, because if there's some of the original stuff we would have kept into, I probably would have fallen off the game super quick.
Yes.
But I mean, overall, a lot of the stuff really worked for me. The bosses, especially the boss in Biome 4 being a real highlight, like you mentioned earlier, climbing up that spire and like the music just swells like this organ music. It really reminded me of like Interstellar too, where like the music just swells and get louder and louder and louder. And then you get to the top and there's just this huge pit with this gigantic alien playing this huge organ. And I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yes.
It was so fucking cool.
Do you by chance know what song they were playing there?
No. Oh, it's the one she learns on the piano.
Well, yes, but do you want to know what song that is?
Oh, no, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
It's so
is it the Beatles
another
or some shit?
You're not far off. Another cool thing about this game.
Is it Coldplay?
No, shut up and listen. Another fun thing about the story is that like there's a lot of overlap between her life and this alien planet, and like you when you start to see those like strands, like it's really cool. But that song is Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh,
is
nice.
It really?
Yeah. It's like the notes from like the chorus of it.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's
more cowbell.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was reading I looked it up on Reddit after I heard it. I was like, is that Blue Oyster Cult? And I looked it up and someone on Reddit said like I overlaid Fear the Reaper with this song, and this they play Blue Oyster Cult a little later in the game too, but
that's super funny.
Someone in the comments was like, they need to make a cowbell artifact.
Cowbell. That would be really good.
I just thought that was so fun. I was like, wow, this song is amazing. It's so like epic and like
it was really cool.
It's so insane. And then I was like, is that fucking Blue Oyster Cult? You got to be joking me. It was good.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, your turn. Anything that worked or didn't work for you as you were going through it?
Right. Yes. The length of runs did wear on me a little bit. Like even being able to suspend games, I found it hard to come back to.
So I wrote kind of under like the next little section, like how you tackled or played the game. And I was going to bring that up too. Like suspending, while a great feature, it's such a hard game to like get into and kind of like get the feel.
Yeah.
Like I feel like anytime I loaded up the game and I was back at the beginning of the biome, like I would die pretty quickly. Be like, okay, that was a warm up run. So if you like suspended at like a high level part or something like that, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna be so fucked, aren't I?
Yeah.
But yes.
Like I made it my I did a 5-hour run.
That's wild.
Through Act 2, and I got all of the keys to get into biome 6 from like you have to find 3 keys in the 5th biome. And everything was going great. Like I was on my way back.
Yeah.
And I hit like 3 like laser beams, and then an enemy showed up and I died.
No.
And you have to find those keys again.
Yeah.
And I was like, even though I was progressing really far, but still like losing those keys, I was like, oh, I got to go back to biome 4 and play through biome 4 again to get through, just to like, I just want to speed run to that. And it wasn't like that big of a deal, but it definitely, like the loop didn't really make me want to like jump in and explore more,
Yeah. The loop was like basically, all right, I'm done playing the game for tonight. I'll catch you next time. Returnal.
Yes, exactly. Because all like seeing all the new stuff, seeing all the like little like weird story things is what really worked for me. And I was like, holy shit, I need to know what happens.
Yeah.
And like then like I felt like there was like 2 times in my playthrough where I got stuck, and it was like I had to play like 2 or 3 loops to get farther, and it was like a plateau that just was not that fun to me. So
Yeah. I have one little caveat for me, except for like the first time I booted the game, like the first 3 or 4 hours, like I was dying fairly frequently in that first biome, you know? So like sometimes my loops were like 5, 10, 15 minutes as I'm like exploring and figuring out the game. And then once I got past the first biome, then they started being like 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, which almost reminds me of like Vampire Survivors now. Like whenever I play that game, it's a minimum of 30 minutes at least.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like when I first started playing that game and I'm like, oh man, like I survived for 5 minutes, I survived for 10, I survived for 12, you know. Once you kind of hit that 30-minute threshold, you're like, all right, every time I play this game, it's not a quick little 30-minute jaunt, you know.
Right. Yeah. The also Returnal does not have very many like level variation amongst its like randomness.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically seeing all of the what is there every time. It's just like in a different order.
Yeah,
Which gets a little stale, but
for sure.
But what works great is the gameplay is insanely good. Like I use an Xbox controller, and like I don't know if I've ever felt like a third person shooter that's felt this good with a controller. It was
cool.
so smooth, and like they really like nailed the aim assist to like you just always felt like you were like right on. And oh man,
That's cool.
So good.
Yeah, I did mouse and keyboard the whole time. I didn't even experiment with a controller actually.
Whew. It's good. Really good. The mouse and keyboard was also, I played a little bit with that, but I just kept going back to the controller because I could lean back a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Ooh, there's no leaning back in this
Lean
game.
back.
Anytime I got done playing, my hand was like so
Cramped.
not really cramped, but like, you know, I felt like I was just like clicking so hard, you know, like just like come on, fire faster type of thing, you know. But then you got to get those overloads in there, so you got to pay attention. Whew. Whew.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. What a cool game. We talked a lot about the music direction already. I think we talked some about like the enemies and the aesthetics a bit. Did you have anything additional to add there besides it being fucking awesome and creepy and
man,
cool
it's
looking?
just such a vibe. Like,
yeah.
I want to just talk quickly about the Tower of Sisyphus, which I did a couple runs in, and it is like, yeah. Oh man, this game just has such a crazy vibe to it. I'm so hyped on it. And the lighting and atmosphere is insane, and the soundscape is woo.
The sound's crazy.
It's crazy. It reminds me of Alien, like the movie Alien. And like just you're exploring, you don't know what the hell is out there. You're just a dumb astronaut touching everything, putting alien technology on yourself.
Oh yeah,
it's like so good.
The parasites.
Yeah, you're just like attaching parasites to you. It's just it's really good. Like I totally understand why this game didn't like do better, and like I understand why people would be weary of getting it, but man, I want everyone to play this game. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. I also really like the variation in the enemy design between the biomes too. Like the first time I went to biome 2, the desert one, which is like the more wide open area, when you have those giant blockhead looking things with like all the crazy tentacles and they're just flying around. I'm like, what the fuck? It was the amount of times I must have said like, what the fuck is that? Or, you know, like it's one of those really cool things that I really like about entertainment and movies, especially like sci-fi, just like not seeing any trailers and just going in as blind as possible. So you're just completely surprised by like what's around the corner.
Yes.
Like Elden Ring was one of the things I just didn't want to see any spoilers about. I just wanted to like see what was happening. And just around each corner, you're like, oh my God. Like just that type of moment is so fucking fun in video games and entertainment. Like you don't really get like anything like that in life, you know, where it's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
You gotta go on a road trip, my friend.
I've
Gotta go on a road
I've
trip.
been on road trips.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the big other topic we just wanted to hit, and I know we're going kind of long, but it's okay. It happens on this podcast from time to time. We didn't even do the news section. Is like how the game developed or was developed and launched to kind of where it came out to like the PC release. So
right.
One of the major critiques for Returnal when it first launched is it lacked a save feature. So Nolan, you were talking about how long the runs can be. You went on a 5-hour jaunt.
Yes.
In the
Small
original
5 hour.
in the original release, there was no point where you could save in the middle of a run.
Right.
So
you either had to keep the game open or put it into sleep mode, which basically makes your PlayStation unusable.
Right. I mean, you could listen to some music or pop on a movie, but yeah, you couldn't play another game or something like that. You basically couldn't close the game out entirely.
Right.
Otherwise, you're losing your save. I mean, we talked about how there's the kind of permanent upgrades that you get after you beat bosses and keys and stuff like that. So all that stuff would obviously keep. But if you're in the middle of a run, a long run, 2-3 hour run, there was just no way to save that progress, close the game out, and start over. So
yeah,
I mean, if I was playing the game today and that was the case, like there'd be no. I wouldn't even attempt to play it. Basically,
really. I think I would still play it. I don't know if I would get as far.
Does not support that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I think I did leave my 5-hour run going in pause mode.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not true. It was a gauntlet. I suspended it.
Yeah. So the kind of explanation that Housemarque presented was that it's like a high risk game. So like if you can't save, like that's part of the risk, basically.
Yeah.
Like, but then people are like, hey, like I can't always sit down and play video games for 2-3 hours or I have somebody else who uses my PlayStation and, you know, they want to play something too when I'm not using it, you know?
Yeah.
And they have there's a crazy thing where it's not crazy, it's normal, but if your PlayStation auto updated, it's closing out all your games. So
right.
People would be in the middle of like shortly after launch. I remember like, oh, my PlayStation auto updated and I lost like a 3-hour run.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Or the game would crash and they would lose like 2 hours, you know,
right.
of just like,
right.
Which is that's pretty significant.
Yeah. I'm just curious, like if the game launched at an 86 with that as like a major critique, I wonder what it would have been at if it had like some of the updates that came out a little bit later.
I'm also curious, like if that was like because in one of the reviews I watched, they were talking about how this game really utilizes the PlayStation controller like really well, like with all the haptic feedback and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it was like a PlayStation, like, oh, you can just like suspend your game, no problem. Like,
yeah, maybe.
This feature works perfectly. Like you don't have to worry about it. And then it was like, oh wait, no, it actually is not that good.
Yeah.
And then Housemarque had to come up with something else, you know, because this game also uses the 3D. It was built with the 3D PlayStation 5's 3D engine in mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they were just like whole hog on the PS5.
Maybe. Funny you mentioned that, Nolan. about the PS5 controller thing, capabilities, because I was reading Polygon's guide, and they were talking about like the audio cues and stuff like that. And one of the tips was like, be careful if you're playing headphones, because the alt fire for guns, that recharge sound, only comes from the controller. So if you're
why would you do that?
If you're wearing headphones,
Yeah,
like you're never gonna have that audio cue that your gun, that your alt fire is fully recharged.
That's insane.
Yeah. Which on the PS4, like I turned that completely off. It sounded fucking awful. And I like playing with headphones.
Man,
but
I loved it,
like
even though it was so dumb.
I hated it.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
Shaking the flashlight.
But I'm basically always gaming with headphones on. So like sound coming out of controller is completely worthless to me.
Yeah. The other thing that they were saying is that you have your aim down sights and your alt fire is on the same left trigger. And it just like, it's like a half squeeze. And I was like, that is crazy. I mean, I've never used a PlayStation controller. I know I've heard that those buttons are hard to press down, so maybe it feels good, but
yeah, it's like tension.
I don't know. Yeah, but it just,
I think friend of the show Chris has a PS5 controller. You should borrow it sometime and try it for.
Would it work on PC?
If you plug it in, it does work. Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
All right. As far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure that that's the case.
Yeah. Hit him up. Call him right now.
I'm calling him right now. Get out of bed.
So, just a reminder that game came out end of April 2021. So October 26, 2021, they had the 2.1 update, which added the ability to suspend cycles. So basically, as the game goes right now, if you want to close the game out, like you hit the pause button and you can suspend and end cycle or just end cycle. There's no like main menu for this game, actually. Like when you launch it, it goes straight into the game. And then that pause is basically like your save. So you can't have multiple saves. There's no scum saving or anything like that. But you have the ability to suspend the cycle now. And that was, of course, in the PC one. March 9th, 2022 is the Ascension update. So that's when they added the Tower of Sisyphus that Nolan mentioned and co-op.
Yes.
So Nolan and I actually played a little bit of co-op, which it was super easy to get into a game and out of a game, which was kind of cool. But I think it could have been utilized a bit better, whereas like you don't really understand. The game does a poor job of explaining what currencies are shared and who gets what, basically. And Nolan is basically there just to help me through the game.
Yeah. Like no progression.
There's no progression. So if Nolan was at, say, only biome 1 or something like that, and we got to biome 3, he wouldn't have any of the boss keys from. He's just there to help me out.
That just happened. That's in Redfall as well.
Yeah.
I don't understand that shit, man.
I don't either.
It makes more sense in this game than Redfall, but yeah. I like why limit people if they want to play in a group, you know?
I don't know.
It sounds like for Redfall specifically that they wanted people to play it multiple times with multiple people, because I was watching the skill review and he mentioned like once you finish the game, you don't have enough skill points to like do 25% of your skill tree.
Right.
So that seems like it was almost like a design choice, because they announced, I want to say it was over like a year ago, that co-op progress wasn't going to be shared, and people complained and they're like, yeah, well, that's the way it is. What was the other thing about co-op I was going to say?
It raises the difficulty.
Yes. Thank you, Nolan. It raises the difficulty significantly.
Yeah.
More enemies with higher health bars. So I don't know if it's you're helping me very much because I thought it was harder playing co-op
Yeah,
than it was. Besides
it was fun though.
riding the struggle bus together, it was fun for sure, but it was difficult.
Yeah.
And then that brings us to February 15th, 2023 with the PC launch, which includes all the previous stuff, came out on Steam and the Epic Game Store. And if you buy it on Steam, it launches in Epic for whatever fucking reason, but that's the way it works.
Yeah.
And personally, it runs great on PC. I think it has a really awesome benchmark feature right off the gate because you do need high performance for this game. Like if you had a suboptimal machine, it does a really good job of scanning everything and tuning it for you, and kind of runs like a really cool like 90-second sequence basically where it tells you how many frames you're running and you can see what's happening, and then it'll even like compare. So it'll tell you what your recommended specs are. You can toggle them all and then have it run that benchmark again, and it kind of keeps like a chart of the performance in all the sections before, and you can just like balance and tweak what's important to you, which I know a lot of games do benchmarking stuff like that, but it was cool that it was just like right at the beginning and kind of like walk you through it in a very like digestible manner, and you can see like where those like slight little graphical changes are kind of helping out or hurting your performance. I thought it was like a really cool aspect of it.
Yeah, it was really cool how they broke it down. Like like when the red lasers were going, like there's like a room that you go in and it's just like all red lasers everywhere. That really tanked my computer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this room you're at like 60% performance or something like that. I was like, oh, okay. Red lasers. I know to
red lasers. Yeah. There's
turn
also
it
like
down.
not only just like the lighting effects and the kind of like the amount of projectiles that are flying at you, which look awesome and are really, really stunning, I think. A lot of the environmental stuff, like while you're shooting at it, will kind of just like crumble in the background, and stuff that you think you wouldn't interact with is like crumbling all over the place. So there's a lot of like environmental effects that are happening at the same time. Although the water looks like dog shit, and I jumped into it plenty of times. Even though I was playing on high, it looks like a regular surface.
It really does. It looks like a shiny, just like a marble surface.
Yeah. And there's puddles in the game. You can walk through puddles, but if it's a pool of water, you're fucked.
Yeah. Not anymore. Not this guy. Swimming all around.
Oh yeah, you're a swimming boy. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the tower, Nolan, you think you're gonna go back much to the Tower of Sisyphus, or you rolled credits, you're tapping out?
Well, so there's a true ending, which I was looking up, and I don't know if it would be that hard to do, so I might check it out.
Okay.
But that requires like just a lot of backtracking. And the Tower of Sisyphus is all new. It's very fun. So I might run that a few more times. But
that was the interesting part. Once we kind of hit that Act 2 point, I was like, okay, I'm not spawning back at Act 1, basically, which there is water pools in the first biome. And I was like, well, I still don't have a swimming ability. So how am I swimming and going back to Act 1? But I'll see. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. It's good. It's good.
Okay. I think it's time to put a nice little bow on Returnal, unless you have anything else to add, Nolan, or any other questions, Eric?
I did want to actually say one more thing about the co-op, and why I did a 5-hour run is because we beat a boss or something, or got to a certain area, and I didn't play it for like a week. Yeah. And in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I'm on Act 2. Like, let's just get it going. easy, and then I realized that I had to go back and still do all the stuff that we did in like when we played co-op, and I was like, that's a huge bummer to me. It's like I've basically played all this already, and now I just have to kind of do it again.
Yeah.
Which was like a 2 hour. That took like 2 hours, and then I spent 3 hours on Act 2, and yeah, it was just a long. It can be a grind. It can be a grind. It was fun, but I was like, I just want to see the new stuff, you know. Yeah, but
yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, kind of the co-op ad reminds me of like was it
Far
Destiny? Well, no, Destiny 2 has like a shepherd mode or something like that where you can invite like higher level players to kind of help guide you through some of like the difficult nightfall strikes and stuff like that. Like that seems like that's kind of the intent.
Yes.
Is like experienced Returnal players that want to help some new people to the game.
Yeah.
Because they do have like that, remember co-op like cadet rank we couldn't figure out?
Yes.
That whole thing.
I'm rank 7.
Oh, nice. I'm still rank 1 because I haven't helped anybody in co-op yet. Yeah. Well, I mean, I absolutely love this game. It's one of my favorite games I've played this year. It's only May. It's been a short amount of time. But man, absolute banger. I'm so glad we finally got around to playing it, and that
Me too.
The PC version dropped. Will I finish it? I'm close to rolling credits.
You should at least roll credits.
I have time. I do have time before the old Tears of the Kingdom come out. I don't have that much time though, as I look at the calendar.
The sixth biome is pretty sick.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
Nice. Recommending it. Oh, it is a tough one to recommend. It's got to be with just the biggest of caveats with all the stuff that we mentioned, but I still think it's a fucking awesome game regardless. It's just a hardcore video game.
Yeah.
It's not Escape from Tarkov hardcore, but it's hardcore.
It's hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going full recommend.
Ooh, no caveats, no
I'm done. I'm done with caveats.
Like, you're done babying people.
If you want to play a freaking game, like I think it's like a very unique experience. The story is like pretty interesting.
Yes.
Like it's totally worth it. It's it's challenging for sure. But I think it's very worth playing. So
nice. Awesome.
Yeah. It's good. Good shit.
Yeah. Anything from you, Eric, on the Returnal?
It'll probably take me 10 plus years to get around to it.
Are you putting it on the backlog?
It's on a backlog. We'll see if I ever have a computer that can play it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
I'll probably have a PS6 before I have.
I was gonna say, or a PS5 Slim or something like that. And
yeah,
I think it's already like included in whatever that mid-tier PS Plus subscription is.
Right.
So
wasn't that going away or something too?
What?
For some reason I thought someone was saying like all the first party stuff wasn't like.
You're thinking of that PS5 launch collection thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what you're thinking of.
Yep.
I think you're thinking of that. Okay. I know we said we were going to kind of do an extended talk on Tears of the Kingdom because that's our game for next month. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. But we can keep it shortish or longish or however long we want to do it. For the month of May, especially starting May 12th, we are playing The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We usually don't stick with like a major release, especially like middle of the month, but we were like, fuck it, we're all going to be consumed by this game anyways.
Yeah.
So
the conversation was like, well, we got to play something short, otherwise, so we can play Zelda.
yeah.
And I was like, we should just play Zelda.
Yeah, we would have had to wrap that and record it before playing Zelda.
Yeah, basically. So this is a little indie action adventure game developed by a little company called Nintendo for the not often heard of Nintendo Switch. It's listed as a sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Definitely is.
Not much is known about the story. Besides, there was a little story trailer, but I mean, it was pretty light. Did you guys watch the 15-minute gameplay mechanic kind of explainer thing that
No.
Nintendo
Yeah, some
had
of
like
it.
a month ago?
Some of it.
Okay.
I've seen.
I have not watched it. I'm trying to go in somewhat blind. I know a couple things, but I mean, we can dive into it here if you want to. So.
Oh no, I've seen some like some kind of praises and complaints already. So
Yeah.
as with most Nintendo things, I don't see them ever fixing or addressing anything. So it'll probably be what it is, you know?
When the game comes out, that's basically what it's going to be. Unless there's like bugs, they'll fix bugs. There'll be some patches and stuff.
Yeah.
But if
I just
people
know
have
like
complaints about, I don't know, controller
I was
layout,
just
which
gonna
I
say
feel like always happens.
controller layouts. Yep.
That's
That
never
that
gonna,
was
that's not
what I
gonna
was just gonna say.
I'm I watched a little bit of, there was like some hands-on demo like last week.
Yeah, last week there's a big preview
And
session for everybody.
I watched a couple videos of that, and I'm getting pretty excited for the like open world shenanigans. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part about Breath of the Wild, and it seems like they just like doubled down on that hard.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's gonna be good.
I skipped the 15-minute. I think it was actually like a direct presentation. I watched like that 2 or 3 minute launch trailer.
Yeah,
Which had like a lot more story beats, and that thing got me so hyped. I was like, oh fuck.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got all the islands up in the sky, which, you know, they kind of did in the DLC a little bit. Like there was some stuff you could fly to. It wasn't like massive islands, obviously, but there's like little floating tower things. But one noticeable omittance from the trailer was like shrines. There's no shrines on the map.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing
Where all shrines go?
I think it's the islands on the sky.
I think there's dungeons as well. I think there's underground stuff.
Yeah. Because we had
they have
120 shrines or something in Breath of the Wild.
I think with the new abilities, they're trying to change it from the last one so it feels fresh, but they're just probably calling them something differently.
That's nice too. I mean, I definitely like the shrines, but I also, one thing I liked about the previous Zelda games is just like the larger, bigger, you know, kind of dungeons and puzzle sections that we're kind of missing, like being able to string together like large sets of puzzles and how they kind of taught you as you evolve through the dungeon. I thought was kind of cool. Like you're kind of expanding on your skills, whereas like Breath of the Wild, it's like, oh, can you figure this one out? But there's just so many ways to tackle the same puzzle, so it's kind of just different. So I wonder if it's going to kind of meld the two together, or what we're going to be doing. Like I feel like it's going to kind of assume you played Breath of the Wild. It's not taking your save file or anything like that, but you know, like
it'd be nice if it did.
The Sheikah
it seems like the
whatever.
controls are very similar. I think climbing is out though, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
I heard that climbing is out, but I could be wrong.
Your powers are all gone from the first one, I believe.
Like the gravity and
and they're replaced with the new ones.
Our slate got wiped.
Yeah. Shiki slate.
A bunk upgrade.
They wiped it.
No. Now you have to make your own bombs. I know that's a thing.
You have to make your own bombs?
Yeah, you have to make them. You have to like craft them.
Crafting them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
It seems like they just like there's so much more customization, like customization and like experimentation around.
So you're
like
you're crafting a lot more stuff.
it seems like you're crafting and like trying like yeah.
So like
I mean, one of the abilities
how you were discovering food recipes, basically. You're doing that
Yes.
for all your
Now you can
equipment.
do that with like weapons and like attacks and stuff, I think.
Attacks.
Yeah, I sent the UI in our Discord
Right.
when stuff was getting leaked, but it's insane. Like you could have your bow and arrow up and you can attach anything to it. You can quick to your like menu and it takes up the entire screen of all the shit you have, all the monster parts and all the like fruit and veggies.
It was pretty big in the last one, wasn't it, too?
Yeah, but
Yeah, but it
now
wasn't
they
like
have like way more. It's not just something that you're picking up to trade. It's actually like a usable thing,
yeah.
which is going to be kind of crazy.
I mean, one thing with like the menu that Breath of the Wild did a lot was like touch control. So I wonder if they're going to be leaning on that a lot more for Tears of the Kingdom. If like the UI is like full screen big like that, you know?
Yeah.
But then you're playing on a TV.
Yeah.
That's not the best fun thing.
No. I'm going to need to get the Wii U with the link cable and use that as a second screen.
The Wii U pad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That thing was bigger than the Switch, right?
Yeah, it was way bigger than the Switch.
It's massive. The first time I touched a Wii U pad, I had a Switch. Kevin brought it to the beach, and I was like, "Oh my god, this thing is insanely big."
iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited. I can't wait to play it.
It looks crazy.
A week.
It's going to be great. Yeah, I can't believe it. I thought it was the 15th. I'm so excited.
No, the 12th. 12th on Friday.
I just ordered it.
Nice. I'll be picking up mine at Best Buy on the way home from work, and it's my wife's birthday, and I won't be playing it, I'm sure. And then we have plans basically all day Saturday. I don't know when I'll play it.
Sneak it in the bathroom.
Sneak it in the bath. Hey, it is portable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, back when Breath of the Wild came out, we were commuting. It was like 45 minutes to an hour commute, and Alicia and I would carpool, so we'd take turns driving. So I basically had like an hour every day to play Breath of the Wild on the way to or from work. I don't have that anymore.
I know. I do miss riding the bus a lot.
Yep. Okay, well, that'll do it for us. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Nolan and Eric, very fun conversation on Returnal and video games. I can't wait to play Tears of the Kingdom. That's gonna be great. If you guys could share the podcast, leave us any reviews on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us out. Any feedback, we want to hear it. videogamerations@gmail.com. Again, sign up for Nolan's hockey league newsletter.
We lost again.
He's actually going to start a fantasy league for rec hockey. So,
oh my god,
yeah, whatever you want to do there.
There's some stats on the website. You can go check it out.
Cool. We
I don't know if they're accurate.
We could do old fashioned, like how they used to do it through newspapers, and you'd have to write in, tabulate your own score, and mail it in.
I like it.
Twitter @VG Rations. You can find us on there. We're kind of slow on that. So if you really want to connect to us and the rest of the community that's out here playing the games with us, Discord is going to be the place to go. And you can go to videogamerations.com to find a link to that.
Yeah.
Anything else, my friends?
No.
Oh, no.
All right. Everybody, have a good night, and we'll catch you at the end of May and June and talk about some Zelda.
See you on the internet.
Bye.